In the last lecture, we introduced the concept of filtering, and we explained and derived why an ideal characteristic cannot be realized. There are two reasons for this. One is that the impulse response is not 0 for n less than 0, that is, an ideal filter is non-causal, necessarily non-causal, and it is also unstable because h of n is not absolutely summable. Then we realized that because an ideal characteristic cannot be realized, an actual characteristic must have a pass band, a stop band, and a transition band, and the transition band, the character of the transition band determines the quality of the filter. The narrower it is, the better is the filter. The sharper is the rejection of unwanted frequencies. We took an example of a high pass filter, a numerical example, and we showed how to design the filter by taking the minimum possible order, that is, two constants are to be determined. So, the minimum possible order was 3, not quite, you could have 2, right. But if you have two samples, for example, alpha plus beta z inverse, okay, this is virtually 1, isn't that right? It is only one constant that can be determined, agreed. On the other hand, if we have alpha, beta and alpha, it is a special kind of filter. We shall look at it more carefully at a later date. So, we took an example and showed how to design the filter so that you're at the desired frequency. It's a single frequency now. It was a single frequency. The magnitude is 1, and at the undesired frequency, again one frequency only, magnitude was 0. If it was a band of frequencies, obviously you cannot have a flat characteristic over a certain bandwidth. Why not? Because this is also ideal characteristic, isn't that right? Flat characteristic over a certain band, absolutely flat, is not possible because that is also ideal. And similarly, if you wanted zero transmission over a band of frequencies, once again it would be an ideal filter and cannot be realized. So, if it was a band of frequencies, then all you can do is approximate by 1 or 0 within a certain tolerance. You shall have to specify the tolerance in decibels in the pass band, which will be very small. 3 dB is a very rough filter, is a very loose, low quality kind of filter, and 60 dB or 80 dB attenuation in the stop band. So, that has to be specified. We also said that in general the frequency response h of e to the j omega, which is the Fourier transform of the impulse response, will be a rational function in e to the minus j omega, and there is no reason why we cannot obtain this from the z transform, provided the ROC of h of z includes the unit circle, and if the variable is z, then we call it the transfer function, and if the variable is e to the j omega, then we call the function as frequency response. There is no difference between the two. H of e to the j omega is h of z on the unit circle, magnitude z equal to 1. And then we took some simple FIR filters. We showed that half of 1 plus z inverse is a low pass filter. These are the most elementary filters. Okay. Then half of 1 minus z inverse is an HPF, high pass filter, and we also told you that if z in a low pass function is replaced by minus z, and I also gave you the reason, because minus 1 is e to the power j pi, and therefore what is true at omega equal to 0 shall now be true at omega equal to pi, and therefore low pass becomes a high pass. So this is in general true, that if in h of z, which is a low pass function, we replace z by minus z, then we get a high pass function. In an FIR filter, this means that alternate samples are negated, alternate samples are given a negative sign. And then we talked about a band pass filter, and we said if we cascade the two, half 1 minus z to the minus 2, then we get a band pass filter, and we concluded the class with a band stop filter which is 1 plus z to the minus 2. And if you, this is band stop filter, because if you take the frequency response, that is if you put z equal to e to the j omega, then you get h of e to the j omega as equal to, what do you get, half e to the minus j omega multiplied by twice cosine of omega. Agreed? Z to the minus 1 you take out, which is e to the minus j omega, that is what it is, then multiplied by 2 cosine omega. And cosine omega, as you know, now one has to be very careful. Cosine omega, if I plot, cosine omega starts from 1 and goes to minus 1. This is cosine omega versus omega. This is pi by 2 and this is pi. And therefore, over this range, the phase is 0 of cosine omega. Once it transits from positive to negative, the phase abruptly changes by pi, and therefore the magnitude of this of course, magnitude of h shall be the magnitude of cosine omega, and therefore at pi by 2 it is 0 and then it flips because we are taking magnitude, and therefore at this frequency pi by 2 the transmission is 0 and it is indeed a band stop filter. But if we want to plot the angle phi, phi shall be equal to minus omega plus angle of cosine of omega. Agreed? And therefore, if I plot phi, then it will go from 0 to minus pi by 2 over this range, right, 0 to minus pi by 2, and then at pi by 2 angle of cosine omega becomes pi. So it jumps from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2, then it again falls linearly to 0 at pi. So this is the phase. The phase plot is piecewise linear. Okay, one must be careful about the phase, but as far as magnitude is concerned, it is indeed a band stop filter, having a center frequency of pi by 2. Center frequency is not the term for band stop. For band stop we say it is the notch frequency, notch, N-O-T-C-H. Band stop filter is also known as a notch filter, N-O-T-C-H. Notch, the common word notch, you know, that wherever there is a small hole, we call it a notch. There is a hole here, it is a notch filter. Now the notch frequency is pi by 2, and if you find out the bandwidth in this case is not 1 by root 2, is still 1 by root 2 of its maximum value, not the 0 value. 1 by root 2 of 0 is also 0, isn't it? So if you define 3 dB bandwidth, then the two frequencies omega 1 and omega 2, capital B which is omega 2 minus omega 1, you can show that this is also equal to pi by 2. Actually omega 1 would be pi by 4 and omega 2 would be pi by 4 plus pi by 2. However, these are elementary filters for which for the band pass filter, for example, the center frequency is exactly at pi by 2. For the band stop filter, the notch frequency is at pi by 2. How do you design arbitrary band pass and band stop filters? We shall come back to a detailed discussion of this at a later date, but at this point of time we have introduced you to some of the elementary filters. Now let us look at, we have talked about 4 kinds: LPF, HPF, BPF and BSF. What about APF, all pass filter? With FIR, all pass filters are trivial ones. They have the transfer function of the form z to the power minus n, that is all. That is a simple delay. If you put z equal to e to the j omega, then the magnitude is 1. What is an all pass filter? Whose magnitude is 1 or a constant over all frequencies. Its angle will be different at different frequencies. For example, the magnitude of this for z equal to e to the j omega is equal to 1, and the angle of this for z equal to e to the j omega is simply equal to minus n omega. So, the angle is linear with respect to frequency, and you know, if we call this phi, then the group delay tau sub g of omega, which is defined as the negative gradient of phase, is simply equal to n. In other words, if there is a group of frequencies transmitted over a channel whose transfer function is z to the power minus n, then all of these frequencies shall arrive at the output n samples later. That is what we mean by delay. It is another way of saying that it is a delay of n samples. Okay. The group delay is the delay suffered by a group of frequencies, and if the group delay is not a constant, then we have a problem, because several frequencies start together. If they do not arrive together, then there is distortion in the received waveform or the received signal, and this is why constant group delay or linear phase, the group delay will be a constant only when the phase is linear. So, linear phase or which is equivalent to constant group delay is an extremely important objective in designing any filter or any communication channel. Now let us look at some simple IIR filters, infinite impulse response filters. You will see how we derived it from common sense. We know that 1 plus Z inverse is a low pass filter. Now you want an IIR, this is FIR, and therefore you must add a pole. Let the pole be at alpha, that is, we add a pole at Z equal to alpha, then this becomes an infinite impulse response filter. This is the simplest, okay, where if you plot the poles and zeros, we have introduced a 0 at Z equal to minus 1, and we have introduced a pole at Z equal to alpha. If we think alpha, if we take alpha as a real positive quantity, but obviously for stability, alpha, whether it is real or complex, positive or negative, this must be less than 1. The pole must be inside the unit circle. And then to normalize the filter, this is a low pass filter, as we will show. To normalize the filter, we normalize the DC response to 1. the DC response would be 1 plus 1 at DC z equal to 1 divided by 1 minus alpha. So, we multiply by 1 minus alpha by 2, agreed. This is scaling constant. The DC response is 2 divided by 1 minus alpha, we normalize this to 1. So, my simple IIR low pass filter becomes 1 minus alpha by 2, 1 plus Z inverse 1 minus alpha Z. This is the simplest possible first order low pass digital filter. And if you find the well, we want the transmission at Z equal to minus 1, that is omega equal to pi, to be 0. This is satisfied by the numerator. We know 1 plus Z inverse is a low pass filter, so we do not have to bother about this. If you put Z equal to e to the j omega and find out the magnitude response h of e to the j omega magnitude, then you shall get 1 minus alpha divided by 2. Then I will skip the algebra. You get well, let us take this square, all right. Then you get 1 minus alpha whole square divided by 2, 1 plus cosine omega, very simple, 1 plus cosine omega minus j sine omega. So, the square, so the magnitude squared is 1 plus cosine omega whole squared plus sine squared omega. So, 2 plus 2 cosine omega, that is how the one of the 2's cancel, 1 plus cosine omega, and then in the denominator you get 1 minus 2 alpha cosine omega plus omega squared. Okay. This is the magnitude response, and if you plot the characteristics, you can show by differentiating that the magnitude response is monotonic, that is d h square d omega. If you find out the characteristic, you can show that this is always less than 0 in the range 0 and pi. This is our range of vision, range of consideration, and therefore, the magnitude response is monotonic. That means it falls monotonically from 1 to 0. And if you plot, the parameter is alpha, okay. Unlike the FIR, simplest FIR, which was half 1 plus Z inverse, okay, the cutoff frequency can now be controlled by alpha. And if you plot the characteristics, it would be like this: omega 0 to pi, this is 1. So, you get characteristics like this. And alpha increases in this direction. That is, as alpha increases, the characteristic becomes better and better. Okay. In fact, you can show that the 3 dB cutoff frequency, how do you find the 3 dB cutoff frequency? The maximum is 1. So, you equate 1 by root 2 to 1 minus alpha whole squared divided by 2, 1 plus cosine omega c, if omega c is the cutoff frequency, divided by 1 minus 2 alpha cosine omega c plus omega c square. I have made a mistake. I have made a mistake in the previous slide. This should be alpha square. Please correct this. And I have made a mistake here also. Not only this, this should be square, magnitude square. Okay. If you solve this, then you get the value of cosine omega c. It's a linear equation in cosine omega c, and cosine omega c comes as 2 alpha divided by 1 plus alpha squared. So, now omega c is controlled by alpha. if you are asked to design a filter, then design a filter with a given omega c. There is nothing else that you can control, only one parameter alpha, and therefore you can only control omega c. So, if omega c is given, then to find out alpha you have to solve a quadratic equation, and the solution for a given omega c you have to find out alpha. The solution comes as 1 plus minus sine of omega c divided by cosine of omega c, and it turns out that 1 plus sine omega c by cosine omega c is a quantity greater than 1, 1 minus is less than 1, and therefore acceptable alpha is equal to 1 minus sine of omega c divided by cosine omega c. Agreed? This is the simplest IIR low pass digital filter. Now, yes, any question? If omega c is given, if omega c is pi by 2, what is alpha? Alpha is 0, cosine of pi by 2 is 0, so alpha is infinity. If alpha is infinity, what was your function? 1 minus alpha by 2, 1 minus alpha z inverse divided by 1 plus z inverse. If alpha goes to infinity, then this alpha and this alpha shall cancel. Agreed? And you will get 1 plus z inverse or multiplied by z. Agreed? Now, magnitude of z is 1 and therefore it does not affect. Do you see what I mean? So, alpha, well, if omega is pi by 2, omega c is pi by 2, then why should you go for an IIR filter? You should simply use half 1 plus z inverse. That is all. Agree? Yes.
Actually, sir, this is getting in the form of 0 by 0. 0 by 0. So, by last rule, so this should be alpha is equal to 0 at omega is equal to pi by 2.
Very good. Say it again. If omega c is pi by 2, it is of the form 0 by 0. So how do you find alpha?
Applying last rule, sir, this gets a form of 0, sir. Cos omega c by sin omega c.
It gets 0. Yes. Agreed. I stand corrected. This gives alpha equal to 0. And if alpha equal to 0, what do you get? You simply get half 1 plus z inverse, as you should. If omega c is pi by 2, you do not need an IIR filter, an FIR half 1 plus z inverse does the job. Very good. Now, if you want a high pass filter, HPF of z, I have told you that in general if you change z to minus z, you should get a high pass filter. In a low pass filter, if you change z to minus z, you should get a high pass. For example, here 1 minus alpha by 2, I change this to 1 minus z inverse and I change this to 1 plus alpha z inverse, it will indeed be a high pass filter. Okay? Suppose I want to keep the pole at the same place, that is z equal to alpha. This pole has been shifted from z equal to alpha to z equal to minus alpha. Suppose I do not want that, I want the pole to be at the same place, but I know if I want a high pass filter, the numerator must be 1 minus z inverse. So, all that I have to change is the multiplying constant. Agreed? At z equal to minus 1, what do I get? 2, 1 minus minus 1 divided by 1 plus alpha. So, all that I have to change is the multiplying constant. Agreed? You can either take this or you can take this. Either of them are acceptable high pass filters. Now, if I continue with this, the characteristic.
So,
Nothing. The characteristics would be identical. They would be identical. Okay, you can verify this. Let's consider 1 plus alpha by 2, 1 minus z inverse divided by 1 minus alpha z inverse. Now the characteristic, the magnitude characteristic h of z, let us drop the subscript hpf, the magnitude characteristic versus omega 0 to pi would be just the complement of the high pass of the low pass characteristic, that is, it will be like this or like this. Now can you tell me which direction alpha increases? Upward, yes. As alpha increases, the characteristic becomes more and more ideal, more and more approach towards ideal. You can once again put z equal to e to the j omega, find out the magnitude response and find out the cutoff frequency. It turns out that the cutoff frequency is identical as in the previous case, that is 2 alpha divided by 1 plus alpha square. And once again, if you have to design a filter for a specified omega c, then you have to solve for alpha, and the acceptable alpha would be 1 minus sine of omega c divided by cosine of omega c. Okay, you can do this algebra and you can solve some numerical examples. Now next comes the question of band pass filter, IIR. We are looking for the simplest band pass filter. Now as you saw in the FIR case, the minimum order that was needed was 2. In fact, you cannot make a first order band pass filter. The minimum order that you need is 2, and by trial and error the the transfer function that has been worked out is the following: simplest second order band pass filter, and the characteristic is 1 minus beta 1 plus alpha z inverse plus alpha z to the minus 2. The numerator is the same as that of FIR, that is 1 minus z inverse, 1 minus z to the minus 2. And to make sure that the maximum value is unity, a multiplying constant of 1 minus alpha by 2 is needed to ensure that the maximum value is unity. Now you can see that at z equal to plus minus 1, the magnitude will be 0. The numerator is 0 for z equal to plus 1, which means omega equal to 0, or z equal to minus 1, because it is z to the power minus 2, and therefore the condition, first condition for band pass is met. Second thing you have to do is to find where does the maximum occur. Now it is a bit of algebra. If you carry this out, you can show that the maximum occurs at cosine omega 0 equal to beta. Okay, that is, the characteristic would be something like this: pi 0 it is something like this, where the maximum value is 1, this is omega 0, and you can find out the cutoff frequencies at 1 over root 2. Let these frequencies be called omega 1 and omega 2. You can show, first you can show that at omega 0 equal to cosine inverse beta, there occurs a maximum, and the maximum value is 1 because of this multiplication by a scalar. And you can also show that the magnitude is down 3 dB at frequencies omega 1 and omega 2, such that omega 2 minus omega 1, which is defined as the bandwidth, is again given by cosine inverse of 2 alpha divided by 1 plus alpha squared. You saw that the same holds for low pass as well as high pass. Cosine omega c was the bandwidth or the cutoff frequency. Omega c is the cutoff frequency, also the bandwidth for the low pass filter. For the high pass filter, what is the bandwidth? Pi minus omega c. So, omega c was the cutoff frequency. Here the two cutoff frequencies, because it is a band stop filter, the two cutoff frequencies differ by the bandwidth, which is given by the same expression, cosine inverse 2 alpha by 1 plus alpha squared. And once again, if you want to find out alpha for a given bandwidth, okay, for a given bandwidth, then you have to solve a quadratic. Now, you notice two interesting things, namely that the two constants alpha and beta, they independently determine one parameter of the band pass filter. Beta determines the center frequency, it has no effect on the bandwidth, whereas alpha determines the bandwidth. So, for the same center frequency, you can get various bandwidths by simply varying alpha, and alpha is simply a multiplier. If you draw the realization diagram of this, alpha is simply a multiplier. So, that multiplier, if you keep on changing the multiplier, you change the bandwidth and can get the desired bandwidth. This is an extremely important feature of any filter, that the parameters should be controllable independently of each other. What is omega 0 divided by the bandwidth? That is called the Q of the filter. Okay. So, the Q of the filter can be changed independently of the center frequency. Okay. And if alpha is kept constant and simply beta is changed, then you get a series of what are called constant Q filters. That is, all filters have the same Q but different center frequency. So, this transfer function has been worked out by trial and error, but it is a very versatile transfer function. It has two parameters which can independently control the center frequency and the bandwidth, or equivalently the Q. Where are the zeros of this transfer function? Zeros plus minus 1. Okay. A 0 at plus 1 is needed for making the DC response equal to 0. A 0 at minus 1 is needed to make the response at pi equal to 0. And where are the poles? Well, you can work it out from here. Do you think the poles are real or poles are complex? Poles, are they real or are they complex? They are complex. With real poles, you can achieve very little. The Q is very restricted. You have to make complex poles to be able to get high Q. As an example, suppose we want omega 0 equal to pi by 2 and bandwidth equal to pi by 4, let us say. Example, you want a band pass filter whose center frequency is pi by 2 and whose bandwidth is pi by 4. So, what is the value of Q? Q is equal to 2, right? Center frequency divided by the bandwidth. Now, therefore, beta would be equal to cosine of omega 0, and therefore, beta is 0, and alpha is equal to well, 2 alpha divided by 1 plus alpha squared is equal to cosine of the bandwidth, which is 1 by root 2, right. This is the relationship. Cosine of the bandwidth is equal to 2 alpha divided by 1 plus alpha squared. This gives two values of alpha. Alpha is root 2 plus minus 1. Obviously, we should choose the minus sign, root 2 minus 1, because it is inside the unit circle. Why should we choose alpha equal to root 2 minus 1? Our pole is no longer at alpha.
Because it is easy to implement attenuator.
Yes.
And implement a amplifier.
No. I didn't. Alpha is a parameter.
So parameter, so it is either a multiplier.
It is a multiplier. It is a multiplier.
Multiplier, we can simply realize the attenuator. If alpha is greater than 1, then we have to realize amplifier.
There is no concept of attenuator or amplifier in digital signal processing. What is an amplifier? Multiplying by a scalar, a number greater than 1. There is no digital amplifier, there is no digital attenuator. All you do is to handle numbers. That is not the reason. Alpha, can alpha be chosen to be root 2 plus 1? You have to look at the poles. You have to look at the poles. If the poles go out of the unit circle, then you are in trouble. And my guess is, I have not verified, that alpha equal to root 2 plus 1 may take the poles outside the unit circle. Okay? Well, let's verify. Where are the poles? Poles are at beta 1 plus alpha plus minus square root of beta 1 plus alpha whole squared minus 4 alpha divided by 2. So, it is beta 1 plus alpha divided by 2 plus minus square root of beta 1 plus alpha by 2 whole squared minus 4. And the real part minus alpha. Thank you. 4 cancels. This quantity shall be imaginary, square root of this. Poles will in general be complex, but the real part, this goes out if alpha is root 2 plus 1. No, that is not quite correct, because beta is 0. All right. Let us take root 2 minus 1 and see what the transfer function that we get. Our h of z, if we substitute for beta and alpha, we get 1 minus 1 over root 2, that becomes the constant, multiplied by 1 minus z to the minus 2 divided by 1 plus root 2 minus 1 z to the minus 2. If I take alpha equal to root 2 minus 1, if I take alpha equal to root 2 plus 1, don't you see we are asking for trouble? Where are the poles now? The zeros are at plus 1 and minus 1. Where are the poles? Root 2 minus 1 square root of 2 plus minus j, and therefore they are somewhere here and somewhere here. If this was greater than 1, if this was root 2 plus 1, then our poles would have been outside the unit circle. Okay? You must be able to justify. Now, the next is a band stop filter. The band pass and band stop, they do not obey the correspondence that low pass and high pass obey. In a low pass filter, if you replace z by minus z, you get a high pass, and vice versa. If you take a high pass and replace z by minus z, you will get a low pass. That is not true about band stop filter and band pass filter. They have to be derived ab initio, and the simplest second order band stop filter that has been worked out has the same poles, that is 1 minus beta 1 plus alpha z inverse plus alpha z to the minus 2. The numerator is not 1 plus z to the minus 2, because that fixes if the numerator is 1 plus z to the minus 2, then we have fixed the notch frequency at what value? When is this pi by 2? Agreed. If I take 1 plus z to the minus 2, I fix the notch frequency at pi by 2. So, I introduce another term minus 2 beta z inverse to be able to control the notch frequency, and the multiplying constant is now 1 plus alpha divided by 2. Okay. It is not simply changing z to z inverse in the band pass function, it has to be worked out independently. Now, if you put z equal to e to the j omega, find the magnitude, equate this to 0, then you get the notch frequency omega 0. If omega 0 is the notch frequency, you get a characteristic like this, pi 0 omega 0 1. You get a magnitude characteristic like this, where the DC response as well as the response at pi both are equal to 1. That is why this normalizing scaling constant was introduced, that is 1 plus alpha divided by 2, and we can show that this is given by the same relationship as in the band pass filter. Okay, that is cosine omega 0 equal to beta, and the bandwidth now, which is defined as the frequency, the difference of frequencies at which the response is 1 by root 2 omega 1 and this is omega 2. The bandwidth is omega 2 minus omega 1, once again is given by the same relationship cosine inverse 2 alpha divided by 1 plus alpha square.
In this case, if alpha is equal to 1, then it becomes all pass filter.
If alpha is equal to 1, it becomes,
All pass.
we are coming to this. What he is saying is, if alpha here becomes equal to 1, we get an all pass filter. Yes, correct. But this all pass filter is useless. It is a trivial all pass filter. A straight connection is also an all pass filter. Agreed? If alpha is equal to beta, then my h of z simply becomes a constant, it is a multiplier. So, it is a trivial all pass filter in which the magnitude is 1, the angle is identically equal to 0. Agreed? So, we will not make alpha equal to 1. Here also alpha has to be less than 1 in order that the poles are inside the unit circle. As an example, if we want let us say beta, if we want omega 0, let us take an example. If we want omega 0 equal to pi by 2 and the bandwidth capital B equal to pi by 4 as in the band pass filter, then you can show that the required transfer function, because omega 0 is pi by 2, 1 plus z to the minus 2, and then you shall have the denominator will be 1 plus root 2 minus 1 z to the minus 2. The poles are at the same frequencies, and what would happen to the multiplying constant 1 plus alpha 1 by root 2, because alpha is root 2 minus 1. This is the very simple band stop filter. Okay. Now, these characteristics, if they are not suitable, if for example in a band pass filter that you have designed, suppose this is the band pass filter pi 0 omega 0. Suppose the Q is not satisfactory. You want a higher Q. Okay. That means you have to narrow down the bandwidth, isn't that right? So, what you can do is, simple thing that you can do is cascade another such filter. And then the two together, because this is 1 squared is 1, so this remains same, 0 squared is 0, so this point remains the same and this point remains the same, all others come down. So, if you cascade a number of such filters, you can get a characteristic like this, alright. If you cascade 2 band stop filters, what would you get? Would you get a better characteristic or a worse characteristic? Worse characteristic. You must understand this. Okay. Similarly, for a low pass filter, you can cascade more low pass filters to get a better characteristic. And people, particularly in fields like biomedical signal processing, they depend on such intuitions. There are people who will give you a filter, who will design a filter, and these are the basic blocks they use: half 1 plus J inverse, half 1 minus J inverse, then FIR, band pass, band stop, and IIR. These are the 4 filters that they use, and if one is not sufficient, they will use 2 of them in cascade. But do not make this mistake in the case of band stop filter. There you adjust your parameter alpha to be able to get the required bandwidth. Finally, we come to all pass filter. IIR, all pass filter. And to distinguish between all pass and all other kinds of filters, we shall use the symbol capital A. Capital AZ we shall use for the transfer function of all pass filters, and a normalized all pass filter is one in which AZ inverse is equal to 1, all right, which means that the magnitude A e to the j omega magnitude squared shall be equal to 1, agreed. The angle of A e to the j omega can be anything, it can be anything, any desired thing. Okay. So, if AZ is equal to P n z divided by Q n z, where n is the order of the transfer function, we require that P n z inverse should be equal to Q n z inverse. That is right. We want the product AZ inverse to be equal to 1. How to do this? How to do this? To get an insight into the problem, let us consider first a first order all pass. First order we will have one pole and one zero. Okay. So, let us consider AZ equal to some constant k, one pole 1 plus BZ inverse, let us say, and 1 0 1 plus AZ inverse. Of course, in order that the filter is stable, B magnitude should be bounded by unity, because that is where the pole is. The pole is at z equal to minus b, so mod b should be less than 1. That is the restriction. Now, k we shall choose such that AZ inverse equal to 1, all right. Now, if I take the frequency response in the transfer function, we put a z equal to e to the j omega, then I get k 1 plus a cosine omega minus j sine omega 1 plus b cosine omega minus j a sine omega j b sine omega, and if I take the magnitude squared, I shall get k squared. In the numerator I shall get 1 plus s squared minus twice a cosine omega, 1 plus b squared minus twice b cosine omega, which I can write as k squared a divided by b. If I take this out, then I get a plus 1 over a minus 2 cosine omega. Agreed? And in the denominator I can write b plus 1 over b minus 2 cosine omega. So, one way of satisfying that magnitude a e to the j omega squared is equal to 1 is to make a equal to b and k equal to 1. But then if I make a equal to b, it is a trivial filter. It becomes a z equal to 1. It's a trivial, it's not, it doesn't filter at all right. It's identically transfer function magnitude is 1 and identically its phase is 0. So, it's useless, it's a straight connection. The other way is to make a equal to 1 by b, isn't that right? A plus 1 by a and b plus 1 by b would be identical if a is equal to 1 by b. So, that is what gives you a useful all pass filters. In other words, we get a z equal to k squared by b squared 1 plus 1 over b z inverse divided by 1 plus b z inverse. Is that okay? And what we want is k should be equal to not 1. K, you see this, I beg your pardon, I want a j omega e to the j omega whole squared equal to 1. So, I have made a equal to 1 by b. So, this quantity is 1. Then this becomes k squared by b squared and therefore, k should be equal to b. K should be equal to b, so that what did I do? I went back to the original function. I want k a z equal to k. All I have done is I have written a equal to 1 by b, all right, and k should be equal to b. So, I multiply by b, right. In the original, what was the original function? I do not see the sign of confidence in your face. 1 plus a z inverse 1 plus, this is what we started with, and we have come up with the fact that a should be equal to 1 by b and k should be equal to b. So, you substitute this here and that gets us here. So, what we get is a z as equal to 1 plus b z inverse divided by b plus z inverse, right. This makes sure that the magnitude is 1 irrespective of frequency and that the phase angle is not 0, okay. But it points to one very interesting thing. You look at this, a z equal to b plus z inverse 1 plus b z inverse. If I write this as p z divided by q z, then you notice that p z can be derived from q z by doing this. Let us take q z inverse. What is q z inverse? 1 plus b times q z is 1 plus b z inverse. So, q z inverse must be 1 plus b z. Then I multiply this by z inverse. What do I get? I get precisely b plus z inverse. Agreed? And this is true in general. That is, any IIR all pass function of order n whose magnitude is unity at all frequencies can always be written as q n z, z to the minus n, q n z inverse. Okay? This can always be done. In other words, if my transfer function denominator polynomial is 1 plus d1 z inverse plus etc. plus dn minus 1 z to the minus n minus 1 plus z to the minus n dn z to the minus n, if the denominator is like this, then I can construct the numerator very easily. I can construct the numerator very easily. What is the numerator? You make z, instead of z inverse you write z and multiply by z to the minus n. So, what will happen in the numerator? These coefficients will simply be reversed. So, I shall start with dn, then I shall have dn minus 1 z inverse plus etc. plus what will be the last term? Z to the minus n. Don't you see that this has reflected here? The coefficient is 1, the coefficient here is b, 1 and b, so b and 1. They get simply interchanged. Now, all pass functions are very interesting functions to the extent of being called romantic functions. You can do almost anything with all pass. From all pass you can derive a low pass, high pass, band stop and so on. And Professor Mitra, who is the author of this book, is obsessed with all pass functions. Well, not simply Professor Mitra, the whole community. If you can do anything with an all pass function. You see, all pass functions, they also have very interesting property of poles and zeros. If you know the poles, obviously you know the zeros, because the zeros are determined by z to the minus n q n z inverse. So, they are related to each other, and we shall show next time that they are in reciprocal pairs. That is, if z0 is a pole, 1 by z0 must be a 0. So, all pass functions are very easy to conceptualize, they are very easy to design, they are very easy to implement, and if you can do anything with all pass functions, you go ahead and do it.